I honestly don't understand what Blake and Ryan are still doing at this point. They're out there trying to save face, but they're only wasting money and resources and drowning it even further.
Here's how it works. Ryan Reynolds filed a motion to dismiss, basically saying, Judge, I don't think I should be in this case. Now get over here. We think you should be in it. You called our client a predator, X, Y, and Z.
Is that we don't get to use Ryan Reynolds' wild imagination because there's apparently footage. High-quality film footage.
Ryan Reynolds is having a full-blown court meltdown after Blake Lively managed to collect a lifetime supply of public backlashes again. These two clowns are busy throwing tantrums, making shady deals, and cooking up fake sob stories, hoping people will forget they're both knee-deep in lies.
Oh, she now feels like her entire life has been turned upside down. Yeah, and it's your fault.
But nope. The internet's memory is longer than their list of scandals, and Ryan might just end up dragging Blake down with him this time.
Oh, poor Blake. It must be so tough out there. Look at this forlorn. God, her outfits are the worst.
So apparently, Blake Lively thought dragging herself to her daughter's fancy horse show, looking all sad and broken, was gonna win her some pity points. Because yeah, nothing screams I'm struggling like showing up at a luxury event that costs more than most people make in a year. Was that harsh, Blake? Well, so is the truth. Deal with it.
This article in the Daily Mail, an exclusive today. Oh, forlorn Blake Lively breaks cover. Far from Hollywood as insiders reveal new private battle, creeping regret over Justin Baldoni lawsuit.
And no, the random public didn't fall for the sympathetic face either. It was the Daily Mail that tried way too hard to paint her as this poor, worn-down mom barely holding it together.
Blake Lively, she's really struggling here. She's really, really struggling in these two frames when everyone else is laughing around her, and clearly she is too.
But honestly, one glance at the full scene and it's like, girl, you're standing in a sea of rich moms sipping overpriced lattes while their kids jump ponies in slow motion. Not exactly the Hunger Games.
So, she's really struggling. The relatable Blake Lively is so forlorn and struggling at a horse farm.
And bless Annie Senior for just saying it like it is. Rich people pretending they're victims is honestly the worst comedy show running right now. Blake's out there trying to look devastated while everyone else is just having a casual sunny day, laughing and chilling like it's some bougie episode of Gossip Girl.
As her daughter competes in equestrian acts, most people can afford to do that, right? To head off to horse farms for their daughters to compete in equestrian events.
Her sad little performance looked about as believable as a toddler fake crying after getting caught stealing cookies. It was so painfully obvious it wasn't even funny anymore. Actually, no. It was hilarious.
This whole article is trying to paint it as how difficult it is. Blake is striving for normalcy in her life, but the past few weeks have been incredibly challenging.
The internet saw those pictures and basically threw tomatoes at them. Instead of feeling sorry, everyone's like, did this woman seriously set up a photo op to make herself look miserable?
Oh, she now feels like her entire life has been turned upside down. Yeah, and it's your fault. You could have just moved on with your life and not sued Justin. You could have celebrated the win of that movie and just let it be an awkward moment in your time and later move on and figure out a way to actually help your PR.
After everything that's gone down with her lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, it wouldn't even be surprising if her PR team's grand plan was, let's cry next to a horse and hope people forget she's suing a guy for breathing wrong. Except instead of saving her, it made her look like she's starring in the most expensive low-budget pity party ever thrown.
Instead, you've tripled, quadrupled. What's the one past quadrupled? Quintupled? I don't know. You've done it so much, 9-tupled, 10-tupled yourself into the worst spot you could be.
And the thing is, this isn't just embarrassing. It's killing whatever crumbs of credibility Blake had left. Every time she fake smiles through gritted teeth or throws on a sad hoodie and forgets the paparazzi are following her, people are just rolling their eyes harder.
I don't understand why she isn't figuring out how to stop the bleeding like yesterday.
Even if she actually is stressed out, tough luck, no one's buying it. In Hollywood, once people think you're faking your breakdowns, you're done. Blake's not winning sympathy. She's winning meme status.
If Justin were willing, and if the rest of that team were willing, she should be figuring out whatever she can do to just shake hands and move on.
Instead of climbing out of the hole she dug, Blake grabbed a shovel and said, let's go deeper. That horse show stunt basically reminded everyone she's not some innocent victim. She's just another brand with too much money trying to look relatable and failing so hard, it's almost impressive.
Some of these people, all of them, just want this to be over. At a certain point when this lawsuit when they get so heavy and you're in so the weeds, there is a point where you do just want to just wave the white flag and both parties agree, we're done. We're going to move on, let each party do what they want to do.
And once the public decides you're fake, even your real tears look like bad acting. Blake's whole comeback plan is basically self-sabotage with extra steps. Critics aren't even trying to be polite about it anymore. They're calling this one of the biggest PR dumpster fires of the year, and honestly, they're being kind. Every single thing Blake's done since filing that lawsuit has somehow made everything worse.
After the disastrous event, she's trying to pretend like there's nothing wrong. Clearly there is, but I don't see much damages because you're able to live your life the same way. Doesn't seem like you're losing much opportunities.
She's out here moving like she's got a full team of consultants who all hate her. Sad horse shows, awkward interviews, weird planted stories. It's like she's running a masterclass on how to destroy your public image 101.
You're still promoting your business that you claim failed. Nothing failed, Blake. And anything that did fail was due to your own actions. That is the reality. That is just clearer and clearer as more evidence piles up and time. That's what's happening here. But
whatever strategy she thought she had, it crashed harder than Ryan Reynolds' face when he realized he had to clean up this disaster too. Instead of looking powerful, Blake looks reckless. Instead of looking relatable, she looks desperate.
It is incredibly frustrating to read.
People aren't even seeing Blake the actress anymore. They're seeing Blake the chaos machine, who keeps stepping on rakes over and over and acting shocked every time. And honestly, the worst part is, it's only getting uglier. Blake's sad photo ops aren't working. Her PR team's half-baked rescue attempts aren't working. Even the hardcore stans are getting tired of pretending this isn't a total mess. Blake's not just fighting Justin in court, she's fighting her own reputation. And at this point, it's a knockout and she's flat on the floor.
The Wayfarer Party's opposition confirms the central thesis of Mr. Ryan's motion to dismiss. The FAC is meritless list of grievances and hurt feelings designed to retaliate against Blake Lively for raising SH or retaliation claims.
And Ryan is losing it because he wasn't supposed to be in this mess. For over a decade, he's built one of the cleanest reputations in Hollywood. Charming, funny, untouchable. But today, that golden boy image is cracking, and fast. It all started when Reynolds got dragged into Blake Lively's legal war with Justin Baldoni by opening his mouth at the wrong time to the wrong people.
As if you haven't done that yourself in your own past interviews and everything else, but I digress.
According to court filings, Reynolds allegedly called Baldoni a predator during conversations with agents at WME, one of Hollywood's biggest talent agencies. This wasn't some random comment made in passing.
The opposition reveals something much worse than the FAC's failure to state valid claims against Mr. Reynolds. Stunningly, it confirms that only 3 of the Wayfarer parties, Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Heath, Wayfarer, have articulated any legal claim against Mr. Reynolds at all.
These were industry power players. Within weeks, Baldoni was dropped by WME. A career that had been riding high on the $250 million success of It Ends With Us suddenly took a brutal hit. In response, Reynolds filed a motion to dismiss on February 29, 2025, arguing that he shouldn't even be part of the lawsuit.
He's trying to claim, well, my comment was to Justin, if we're going to hear that, and that doesn't affect everybody else. As if calling Justin an actual predator doesn't affect all of Wayfarer. It is beyond me, because it does. But as I talked to Christopher Melcher, he agrees it's silly, but there very likely could be a request from the judge to just amend the amendment, the complaint.
His core defense? He claims he was just sharing an opinion. But in the world of defamation law, especially when reputations and careers are involved, that excuse holds less weight than he seems to realize.
So the likelihood of anything happening is that there is a likelihood the judge will just ask the Wayfarer parties to tighten up or clarify or more specifically mention why all of Wayfarer is affected by Mr. Reynolds.
Saying someone is a predator, especially without any legal proof or criminal conviction, crosses a serious line. It's not gossip. It's an accusation that sticks. And it stuck hard enough to cause Baldoni material damage.
And they'll be able to probably come up with a reason or justify it and put it into writing as to why, and then we'll still continue on with these lawsuits.
The stakes for Reynolds aren't just about legal fees or court appearances. He's risking something much bigger, his public image. This is the same Ryan Reynolds who Forbes named one of the highest paid actors in the world in 2020. The same guy behind hits like Deadpool and Free Guy.
It is an absolute waste of time in part of the way. And Reynolds aggressively trying to declare like all this is nonsense is just all bluff and smoke.
Reynolds isn't seen as just an actor, he's seen as a brand. Companies like Aviation Gin and Mint Mobile didn't tie their names to him because he was risky. They did it because he was safe. Watching him scramble to defend himself now feels like watching a brand meltdown in real time.
It's right here. Reynolds approached Baldoni's agency, namely Executive W. Me, and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, suggesting his agency was working with an actual predator. At a later date, demanded that the agency drop. Anyway, it's all there, Ryan.
For someone known for his calm, sarcastic cool, Reynolds' legal behavior signals real panic. Court insiders told Deadline on March 12, 2025, that his team is aggressively pushing to keep him out of depositions.
Really? If I were the judge, I would just be so annoyed with all this repetitive nonsense. Like, pay attention, dude. Be more on top of it. I know it's a lot of stuff.
They're terrified of what might come out if agents or third parties are forced to testify under oath. Reynolds isn't acting like a man who's confident in his innocence. He's acting like someone desperate to escape before the dam breaks.
By calling out Justin, the face and clear creative head of Wayfair doesn't affect all of these people, and that Ryan wasn't instrumental in being part of that campaign along with Blake to destroy Justin's character and therefore Wayfair is just mind-boggling to me, dude.
The panic becomes even clearer when you look at the bizarre arguments his legal team is making. One of the most embarrassing moments came when Reynolds' attorneys tried to argue that there's a major legal difference between calling someone a predator and a sexual predator. This came directly from his March 7th, 2025 court filing in the New York County Supreme Court.
On top of that, he tries to claim that the FAC didn't allege actual malice to blah, blah, blah. He goes in, but it's like, dude, a quick search will remind you right here.
The idea seemed almost laughable. As commentator Dave Neal pointed out on the Rush Hour podcast the same day, nobody hearing the word predator in Hollywood thinks of a science fiction alien from the movies.
I honestly don't understand what Blake and Ryan are still doing at this point. They're out there trying to save face, but they're only wasting money and resources and drowning it even further.
They think of Harvey Weinstein. They think of danger, abuse, manipulation. Pretending there's a clean, harmless meaning of predator when speaking about a public figure doesn't just insult the court's intelligence. It insults everyone paying attention.
They just hope to get them enough annoyed that maybe even Justin and team eventually just kind of fine. I want this done. That might happen.
Adding to the disaster, Reynolds' team attempted to blame Baldoni's own past interviews to justify the predator label. They referenced Baldoni's 2020 podcast appearance on Man Enough, where he discussed evolving understandings of consent and masculinity. But using that to paint him as a predator is not just a bad stretch, it's legally absurd. In those interviews, Baldoni never admitted to any crime or predatory behavior. In fact, his entire point was the opposite, that cultural conversations around consent have changed and men need to be more conscious.
Whether you like it or not, they all might finally agree to just be like, okay, we're done. Can we finally agree to... I would not be surprised if it happens, guys, at a certain point in the next coming months. We'll see.
This attempt to weaponize Baldoni's vulnerability backfired badly. Legal experts like Christopher Melcher, speaking on Popcorn Planet on March 20th, 2025, pointed out that courts tend to take a dim view of parties twisting facts to excuse defamation. Reynolds' defense, built on shaky semantics and misrepresented quotes, makes him look dishonest and scared. A far cry from the self-assured public figure fans are used to.
Here's how it works. Ryan Reynolds filed a motion to dismiss, basically saying, Judge, I don't think I should be in this case. And then Justin Baldoni's side says, yeah, get over here. We think you should be in it. You called our client a predator, X, Y, and Z.
Behind the scenes, it's even worse. Multiple reports from TMZ and Page Six insiders in early April say Reynolds' legal team is scrambling. They're allegedly working overtime to fix gaps in their arguments after early hearings didn't go in their favor. One source close to WME even told Entertainment Weekly that agents are quietly distancing themselves from Reynolds, worried that getting dragged into the deposition phase could tank their own careers.
He mightily called Justin Baldoni a sexual predator. Of course, to his WME agents, Justin Baldoni got dropped, and Ryan Reynolds says, hey, I have the ability to do that. I can call him whatever the hell I want, my First Amendment rights.
This isn't just a bad look. It's a slow-motion implosion. Legal observers agree that courts are unlikely to accept semantic gymnastics, like the predator versus sexual predator argument. Defamation law focuses on the impact of the words on the listener, not clever technicalities. And the impact here was clear. Reynolds' words helped destroy Baldoni's agency ties and blackened his professional name.
As one example, despite the complaint's preposterous $400 million damages claim, the opposition concedes that the complaint in fact alleges no actual monetary harm whatsoever, instead relying exclusively on a defamation per se theory that even if it were valid, which it is not, fails to allege cognizable damages for any of the complaint's other claims.
What's even more telling is that Reynolds isn't leaning into the lawsuit with the bravado you might expect from a man who believes he's innocent. Instead, every move, the rushed filings, the half-baked excuses, the frantic legal maneuvers, screams damage control.
Right, Justin Baldoni is a producer for a production company, Wayfair, that just made a $250 million movie, right? They've received around $250 million in revenue for It Ends With Us. So this production company has set the bar high to what they can do.
At this point, even longtime Reynolds fans are starting to see through the act. Reddit threads and Twitter spaces flooded with comments after the March 20 filing show a shift in public tone. What used to be admiration has turned into skepticism. Posts on celebrity gossip forums like Duke Moi and Lipstick Alley mock Reynolds for trying to lawyer his way out while still profiting from his good guy image.
If you are going to cancel Justin Baldoni without any sort of evidence and all of that, if you're just going to bring him down, then you're effectively bringing down a $250 million company at the same time.
Since February 2025, when Ryan Reynolds officially filed his motion to dismiss in New York County Supreme Court, not a single agent at WME has publicly commented on the allegations. No leaked audio recordings, no insider testimonies, no suspiciously timed anonymous sources speaking to Deadline, Variety, or Page 6. It's a silence that feels unnatural for an industry built on gossip and betrayal.
So Ryan Reynolds continues in his introduction. The opposition reveals something much worse than the complaint's failure to state valid claims against Mr. Reynolds. Stunningly, it confirms that only 3 of the Wayfair parties, Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfair Studios, have articulated any legal claim against Mr. Reynolds at all.
Insiders at Entertainment Weekly noted on March 24, 2025, that even longtime WME staffers, the kind who usually love to trade secrets, are refusing to discuss Reynolds' comments about Justin Baldoni. One Hollywood publicist, speaking anonymously to TMZ on March 29th, described the atmosphere inside WME as full lockdown mode. Emails are monitored. Meetings are hush-hush. People aren't just staying quiet out of loyalty. They're terrified of losing their jobs.
Every Wayfair party, other than Mr. Baldoni, brought a federal lawsuit alleging at least one cause of action that they know they had no legal basis to assert.
And with good reason. Reynolds isn't just a client at WME, he's a cash machine. His 2020 Forbes profile ranked him among the highest paid actors globally. His movies like Deadpool 2, grossing over $785 million, and endorsement deals with companies like Mint Mobile and Aviation Gin bring in revenue that most of WME's other clients can't match. In Hollywood, power equals protection. Right now, Reynolds has the power. And that's why even people who might know exactly what he said about Baldoni are staying quiet. They know what's at stake. Speaking out doesn't just mean getting fired. It could mean getting blackballed across the industry.
And I don't think the agents would lie. If I'm an agent at WME or anywhere, even though your ass might be on the line and you might burn a bridge with Ryan Reynolds, do you really want to lie under oath?
The bigger question haunting this silence is ugly. Would these agents lie under oath to protect Reynolds? On April 2, 2025, legal analyst Emily D. Baker suggested on her YouTube breakdown of the case that depositions could force agents into impossible positions. Once you're sworn in, lying means perjury, a criminal offense. But in a town where loyalty often means survival, it's not out of the question that agents might dodge, deflect, or forget critical details rather than burn a bridge with a client as powerful as Reynolds.
I think if they were under penalty of perjury, we might get some more answers. Those are my thoughts. We'll have to see what the judge has to say. But whether Ryan Reynolds is dismissed or not, he's a tertiary character. He's a big tertiary character, but this is really Blake versus Justin, right?
And that's the real risk coming next. Depositions. As Popcorn Planet reported on March 28, 2025, if the judge refuses to dismiss the claims against Reynolds, discovery will move forward fast. That means agents, assistants, even third-party witnesses could be dragged into interviews under oath. If even one person cracks and admits that Reynolds' predator comment was serious and intended to damage Baldoni, the entire case shifts dramatically. Blake and Ryan's team won't be able to spin their way out. they'll be trapped by the very truth they've been trying to suppress.
We shared the actor who says he's willing to testify, the guy who played the doctor. And of course, he is friends with Justin Baldoni.
While Ryan Reynolds' silent strategy looks coordinated and tense, Blake Lively's damage control attempts seem chaotic and desperate. Blake has tried to push a different narrative to the media, hoping something sticks. It started with the Daily Mail story, published March 19th, showing Blake at her daughter's equestrian competition in South Salem, New York. Described as forlorn and struggling, the piece seemed carefully designed to paint her as a victim caught in a personal crisis. But critics like Andy Signore on Popcorn Planet immediately tore it apart, pointing out the absurdity of claiming struggle at a luxury horse show attended only by the wealthy.
Baldoni's side says, because you're married to Blake Lively, it's presumed you know more info than what some random person sharing an opinion online would know. And because of that, you are stating that he's a predator, are stating it as a fact.
Instead of sympathy, the move triggered a backlash. Comment sections under the Daily Mail article exploded with skepticism. On Twitter, posts with the hashtag #BlakelyFail trended briefly on March 20th, with users mocking the sad rich girl narrative. Since then, Blake has tried pivot after pivot. First, it was normal mom life stories through staged paparazzi shots in upstate New York, released via Just Jared on March 25th. Then came curated leaks about her focusing on family, reported by Us Weekly on March 27th. But none of it worked. The harder Blake pushed the idea that she was just a normal woman facing hard times, the more fake it felt to the public.
The Wayfarer parties claim that the court cannot conclude as a matter of law that Baldoni is a sexual predator. All right, so that's the first time they say sexual predator, right? They've been trying to wean off from the sexual predator as if people are going to forget that that's what he said.
Worse, a new theory is spreading like wildfire across forums like Reddit's that Blake's PR team is bribing or manipulating media outlets to frame her as the victim. Posters pointed to the sudden shift in tone at sites like Daily Mail and People, both typically quick to criticize celebrities, now offering suspiciously sympathetic coverage. If even a sliver of this theory is true, it spells disaster. In the court of public opinion, once people believe you're controlling the media, everything you say afterward becomes worthless. Even genuine emotions start to look staged, and right now, every sad photo Blake posts, every quiet source speaking about her emotional state, only digs her deeper.
Mr. Baldoni has acted in a predatory manner. Likewise, to the extent the court finds that the Wayfarer parties otherwise sufficiently allege some unidentified statements to the New York Times and unnamed third parties, there would be no different effect on the reader between Mr. Baldoni's own statements and those unspecified statements.
This shift is clear when you look at social media engagement numbers tracked by Social Blade. Between March 15th and April 5th, Blake Lively's average Instagram post engagement dropped by 36%, signaling that even casual fans are tuning her out. The ones still talking about her, they're not praising her strength. They're mocking the endless spin. At this point, public skepticism runs so deep that even if Blake stood in front of a microphone tomorrow and tearfully admitted fault, half the internet would assume it was rehearsed. She's lost the critical element that kept her brand intact for years: believability. And in Hollywood, once the audience stops believing in you, it's a long, brutal road to ever getting it back. But hey, maybe we're just being dramatic, right? Let us know if you're buying Blake's sad little horse show act, or if you're laughing like the rest of us. Drop your thoughts in the comments.